The woman in the dust. The desert winds blew hard that evening. Jared, a human mechanic, walked back to his shelter after a long day fixing machines in the outer mining fields. Sand hit his face, sharp like tiny needles. He pulled his scarf higher, squinting against the orange dust. This planet was harsh, dry, lonely, and full of forgotten people. As he reached the fence near his shelter, he saw something strange. A dark shape lying in the sand, not far from his door. At first he thought it was just junk, maybe a thrown-out coat or old cloth, but then it moved. Jared froze. He stepped closer. It was a woman. An alien woman. She was thin, her skin covered in dust, her clothes torn and old. She had strange, glowing lines across her cheeks like soft tattoos. Her eyes were half closed, her lips cracked. In her weak arms, she held something wrapped in a thin blanket. A baby. "Help," she whispered, her voice barely reaching him. "Please. Help. Us." Jared dropped to his knees beside her. Hey, can you move? What happened?" The woman looked up. Her eyes were large, sad, full of fear. "I have no food, no water. My child, he's not waking up." Jared looked at the tiny bundle. The baby's skin was pale, his small chest rising and falling weakly. He was alive, but barely. "Come inside," Jared said quickly. "You'll freeze out here." She grabbed his arm suddenly, her grip stronger than expected. "Please, marry me." Jared blinked. "What?" She didn't let go. "Please, marry me. I need protection, or they'll take us away." Her voice broke. A tear rolled down her dusty face. Jared didn't understand. Who was she? Why was she asking him to marry her? But the storm was getting worse. He picked up the baby gently and helped the woman to her feet. She could barely walk, so he held her close, guiding her into his shelter. Inside, it was warm and quiet. The small heater buzzed in the corner. He laid the baby on a soft blanket and handed the woman a cup of warm broth. She drank slowly, her hands shaking. "Start from the beginning," Jared said, kneeling in front of her. "What happened to you?" The woman looked at the heater, as if scared it might vanish. "My name is Sela. I come from the northern camp. My husband died 2 months ago. His family threw me out, said I was useless." Her eyes went to her child. "They said a widow without a husband must be sold, but I ran." Jared frowned. "Sold? As in—" "Yes," she nodded. "As a servant, or worse." Jared sat back, shocked. "I walked for days. I hid. I begged. But no one helped us. Until now." He looked at the baby. His skin had a faint blue tint now. "Not good. I'll get medicine," Jared said, standing up. "But I don't know if I can marry you." "I understand," she said softly. "But if they find us, and I'm not married to someone, they'll take my child. They'll take me." Her voice broke again. Jared didn't know what to say. He had just come here to work, to be alone. He wasn't looking to save anyone. But now a mother and her baby were in his home, begging for help. And something inside him couldn't say no. He went to the small fridge and took out more food. He brought her a blanket. The baby stirred, letting out a weak sound. "Stay here tonight," Jared said. "We'll figure things out in the morning." Sela looked at him, her lips trembling. "Thank you. Truly." As Jared sat by the heater watching her feed the baby a few drops of soup, he couldn't stop thinking. Who would abandon a woman like her? Why was the world so cruel to the weak? And why, out of everyone, did she end up on his doorstep? He didn't know it yet, but this woman in the dust was about to change his life forever. Her kind was hunted. The sun had not yet risen when Jared woke up. The small shelter was quiet. The heater still hummed. A soft light glowed in the corner. He turned his head and saw Sela curled up on the floor, holding her baby close. The baby was finally asleep, wrapped warmly in a thick blanket. Jared stood up slowly, rubbing his eyes. He didn't know why he had let them stay. He didn't even know her species. But something about her voice, her fear, had stayed with him. He stepped outside. The desert was calm now. No storm, no wind. Just endless dust and broken machines. He gathered a few medical herbs from his supply crate and crushed them into warm water. It wasn't much, but it could help the baby breathe better. When he came back inside, Sela was awake, watching him, quietly. "I made this for your child," he said, handing her the small cup. She took it with both hands and gave a soft bow. "You are kind." "What species are you?" Jared finally asked. Sela looked down. "Tauren." Jared frowned. He had heard that name before. "Aren't your people from the forest zones?" She nodded. "We were, before the purge." Jared's heart tightened. He remembered a report. Years ago, the Tauren were blamed for poisoning a river that supplied water to 2 colonies. Hundreds died. The government responded with full force, burned villages, arrests, and public punishments. "I thought your kind was gone." "Almost," she said, her voice soft. "Some of us escaped. Others were sold. My husband bought my freedom. But after he died, his clan wanted me gone." She held her baby tighter. "They hate Tauren women. They say we are cursed, unfit for society, and without a husband, we have no status." Jared stared at her, unable to speak. A whole species treated like dirt. And now, the same people who killed her people wanted to take her child? Sela's eyes met his. "When a Tauren widow is unclaimed, she is taken by force, her children are separated. Many never see each other again." Jared's fists clenched. "Why ask to marry me?" he asked. "You don't even know me." "You are human," she said. "The law protects humans. If a human marries a Tauren, she is no longer wild. She becomes part of his clan. No one can touch her." Jared leaned against the wall, stunned. She didn't want love, she wanted safety. A shield. "I don't know if I can do that," he said honestly. "I understand," she whispered. "But if you do, I will cook, clean, care for your home. I will not be a burden. I will never ask for more." Her eyes watered, but she didn't cry. "Just let me stay alive." Jared walked over to the baby and gently touched his forehead. Still hot, but better than last night. He looked back at Sela. "You're safe here for now. No one will find you," he said. But deep inside, he wasn't sure. News traveled fast in small colonies. If someone saw her, if someone told the patrols. "I need to go into the outpost today," he said. "To get proper medicine. You'll be okay here?" She nodded. "I will stay quiet. Thank you." He grabbed his gear and walked toward the supply center, his mind full of questions. The outpost was busy. Merchants shouted. Droids moved crates. Security guards watched everyone closely. Jared kept his head down, moving toward the medical station. As he waited in line, he overheard 2 guards talking. Another Tauren female spotted near the mining zones. "If she's unclaimed, she's ours." Jared's blood ran cold. "She had a baby too," one said. "Shame. Could have been worth something, if she was alone." Jared stepped back. They were hunting her already. He didn't buy much, just enough medicine and food to not raise questions. Then he left fast, avoiding every checkpoint, every eye. Back at his shelter, Sela opened the door the moment he arrived. Her hands trembled. "I heard something outside," she said. "Voices." Jared shut the door. "They're looking for you." She sank to her knees, holding her child. "Then we are lost." He shook his head. "No, I'll figure something out." She looked up. "Why are you helping me?" Jared didn't answer right away. He knelt beside her and handed her the medicine. "Because you're not an animal, you're a mother." And that was enough for him. The baby was burning with fever. Sela held him close, rocking gently, whispering old songs from her lost homeland. His tiny body shook in her arms. Sweat dripped from his forehead. His breath came out in short, fast gasps. Jared watched from across the room, his hands clenched. The herbs had helped for a few hours, but now, the child was getting worse. "I need real medicine," he said. "The kind only found at the Dome Clinic." Selah didn't answer. She just stared at her son, eyes wide, lips trembling. Jared moved to grab his bag. "I'll go now, stay inside, don't open the door for anyone." "No," she whispered, standing weakly. "You can't go alone." He looked at her confused. "Why not?" Her voice was soft but firm. "They know you took someone in. The patrols are checking shelters. If they stop you and find medicine for a torn child, they'll know." Jared paused. "Then what do I do? I can't let him die, Selah." She walked slowly to the wall and pressed a loose panel. Behind it was a small pack, dirty and hidden. From inside she pulled out a crystal badge. "What's this?" "My old ID. My husband gave it to me before he died. It still marks me as his wife. Barely legal, but it might help you pass as someone delivering medicine to your wife." Jared looked at the badge. It glowed faintly with green script. Faded, but still readable. "And if it doesn't work?" he asked. Selah didn't reply. Jared moved fast. The Dome Clinic was a half-hour ride on the sandbike. The path was rough, twisted with dry rocks and scorched metal ruins from wars long ago. His heart pounded with every mile. He gripped the badge tight. The guards at the dome eyed him as he arrived. One stepped forward. "Reason for visit?" Jared forced a smile. "My wife's sick. Fever. Can't breathe. She's torn, but registered. I have her badge." He handed it over. The guard stared at it, then at him. "Where is she?" "Back at my shelter, watching the child." The guard narrowed his eyes. "You married one of them?" "Yeah. Long story," Jared said, shrugging. "But she's my wife. I don't want to lose her." The silence stretched. Then the guard tossed the badge back. "Fine. 1 hour." Jared ran in. Inside, the Dome Clinic was cold and clean. The walls glowed with pale blue light. Machines hummed. Alien nurses moved silently. Jared reached the counter. "I need fever medicine for a torn child. Fast." The nurse stared at him. "Is the child hybrid?" "No. Full Tauran." She looked down, typed something, then turned. "Follow me." She led him to a sealed locker and handed him 2 glowing vials and a cooling patch. "This will help the lungs, but if he's too far gone, I'll do my best." Jared cut in, taking the pack. As he turned to leave, the nurse added, "Tauran children rarely survive. Be ready to say goodbye." Jared raced back, his heart in his throat. When he arrived, the shelter door was wide open. His breath caught. He ran inside. "Selah?" She was on the floor, holding the baby, crying. The child's eyes were open, but unfocused. His lips had turned a soft blue. His tiny hand didn't move. "No," Jared whispered, rushing to them. He dropped to his knees and opened the pack. "We're not too late." He placed the cooling patch on the baby's chest and injected the medicine into his small arm. Selah watched, breath held, whispering her child's name over and over. Minutes passed. The baby didn't move. Then, a soft cough, and another. The baby's chest rose, fell, rose again. Slow, but steady. "He's breathing," Jared said, almost in disbelief. Selah gasped and hugged her child tightly. Tears flowed down her cheeks. "You saved him," she whispered. Jared shook his head. "You saved him. You never gave up." Later that night, Selah fed her child drops of soup, singing softly in her language. The baby was weak, but alive. Jared sat by the door, watching the stars outside. He had risked everything. The guards now knew he had a Tauran wife. The story was spreading, but in that tiny room with a baby alive and a mother smiling for the first time, it felt right. He looked at them and thought, maybe this is what family looks like, even here. even now. The marriage papers. Jared stood by the window, staring out into the dusty horizon. The baby's cough had softened. Sela slept beside him, her arms curled around the child, her face finally calm. But Jared's mind was racing. Saving the baby was only the beginning. Now the real danger had started. He had lied to patrol, used an old ID, smuggled alien medicine, and worst of all, he had claimed a Tauren widow as his wife. Without it being true, in the eyes of the system, he was a criminal now, unless he made it official. He walked to the corner of the shelter where his old communication console sat, dusty, half-broken. He powered it up and searched quietly through old registration files, marriage contracts. He found the form, but one line made his stomach twist. Requires approval at Central District Registrar. It couldn't be done from here. The form needed live scans, fingerprints, voice confirmation from both parties, done in person, at the city center. Jared looked back at Sela. If they went there, people would see her, and someone might recognize her. He turned off the screen and rubbed his face. There had to be another way. The next morning, Sela sat near the heater feeding her child mashed roots. Her color was better. Her hands no longer shook, but she noticed the worry on Jared's face. "What's wrong?" she asked. "They're looking for you," he said plainly. "And they will come back, this time with more than questions." She nodded slowly. "I found a way to register the marriage, but we have to go to the city. Together." Her eyes widened. "Too dangerous," she whispered. "They know my face." "If we don't go, they'll arrest both of us," Jared said. "But if we succeed, you'll be protected. You'll become a citizen. Your child, too." Sela was quiet for a long time, then she looked down at her son. "I'll go." They traveled at night. The city center was 30 miles across the scorched plains, surrounded by towers of rusted metal and energy fences. It was built for trade, law, and control, a place where people like Sela were not welcome. Jared wore a long coat and kept his head down. Sela wore a hood and held the baby wrapped in cloth. They passed through the outer gates without trouble, just more tired workers and supply droids. But inside, the tension grew. Aliens of many kinds moved around, most of them free, but none. Tauren eyes followed Sela as she walked. Whispers followed Jared. "Is that a Tauren woman? Why is she holding a child? Is the human with her?" They reached the registrar's building. White walls, cold lights, machines everywhere. A bored clerk waved them forward. "Marriage filing?" "Yes," Jared said, handing over his ID. The clerk scanned it, then looked up. "Spouse?" Sela stepped forward slowly and gave her badge. The clerk raised an eyebrow. "Tauren, brave man." Jared kept a straight face. "She's my wife. I want to make it legal." The clerk shrugged. "Your problem, not mine. Place your hands here." They each placed their hands on the scanner. The machine blinked. Then came the voice scan. "Speak your name and intent," the machine said. "I am Jared Flint. I confirm this union," Jared said. "I am Sela of the Tauren." "I confirm this union," she said quietly. The screen processed for a few seconds, then flashed, "Status, married, identity linked, legal record created." Jared felt a breath escape from his chest. It was done. They turned to leave, but a guard was already approaching. "You." "Wait." Jared froze. The guard stopped in front of Sela. "Remove your hood." Jared stepped forward. "Is there a problem?" The guard looked at him. "Your new wife. She matches a fugitive alert." Sela tensed. "She's my wife now," Jared said, voice steady. "She's registered. You can check the system." The guard narrowed his eyes, then checked his device. After a long pause, he grunted. "Barely went through. You're lucky." He looked at Sela again, his face hard. "Stay out of trouble." They walked out quickly. Only when they reached the bike did Sela speak. "I thought he would take me." "So did I," Jared said. She looked at him. "Why do this?" You could have left us. He helped her onto the bike. Because the law is cruel, but people don't have to be. That night, back at the shelter, Sela placed her hand on Jared's shoulder. I don't have gold or gifts, but I can offer my thanks. Jared smiled. You already gave it. You trusted me. Outside, the wind howled again, but inside, the paper had spoken. They were a family now. The shelter door rattled in the wind. It was midnight and Jared was half asleep on the floor, a hand resting on the old blaster beside him. Sela slept with the baby close to her chest, wrapped in quiet peace. But the silence outside didn't feel safe anymore. Ever since they returned from the city, married by law, protected by paper, Jared had felt it. Eyes, watching, listening, waiting. He sat up, alert. There it was again. A sound, not the wind, not sand, something heavier. Footsteps. He reached for the blaster quietly and peeked through the edge of the curtain. In the moonlight, he saw them. 3 shadows. Moving slowly toward the shelter. Uniforms. Armed patrol. But why now? Then he remembered. The guard at the registrar. He had looked too long at Sela. Had probably reported them anyway. A marriage license. Could protect them on paper, but if someone wanted to twist the rules, they would. Jared whispered, Sela, wake up. She opened her eyes instantly, trained by fear. They're here, he said. She didn't ask who. She just held her baby tighter and waited. A hard knock. Open the door, by order of the outpost command. Jared stood and opened it just a crack. 3 armored men stood outside. The leader stepped forward. We received word you are harboring a Tauren fugitive. Step aside. She's not a fugitive, Jared said firmly. She's my wife, registered, legal. The soldier narrowed his eyes. Then prove it, let us in. Jared didn't move. We don't need your permission, the soldier growled. They shoved the door open. Inside, the room felt too small for all the tension. The leader walked straight to Sela, who stood holding her sleeping child. Name? Sela, she said softly. Full name? Sela of the Tauren, wife of Jared Flint. He pulled out a scanner, checked her ID. The system beeped. Matched married. Status, legal. The soldier scowled. You're lucky, he muttered. But that doesn't change everything. You're still under watch. On what grounds? Jared asked. She's a Tauren. That's enough for eyes to stay open. They turned to leave, but not before the soldier leaned close and whispered to Jared. Watch your back, human. Not everyone likes what you just did. Then they were gone. Sela sat down slowly, her hands shaking. They'll come again, she said. I know. They want to take my child. They don't care about laws. I know that too, Jared said. But they'll have to go through me. He opened a hidden box from under the floorboards. Inside were tools, wires, sensors, old security gear he once used during his time as a military tech. If they want to fight, he muttered, we'll be ready. The next few days were quiet but tense. Jared set up perimeter alarms around the shelter. Sela helped where she could, holding tools while rocking the baby in one arm. Every noise outside made them jump. Every shadow felt dangerous. They didn't speak much, they didn't need to. The silence said enough. But on the 4th day, the alarm rang. Once, twice. 3 sharp beeps. Someone's coming, Jared said, grabbing his gear. Sela rushed to hide the baby in a corner nest made of thick blankets and scrap metal. She kissed his forehead. Don't cry, little one, please. Jared watched the monitor. It showed 2 figures approaching fast, not patrol, but bounty hunters. Their faces were covered. Their steps were loud. They weren't here to talk. Jared opened the top vent of the shelter and climbed up, blaster ready. He took cover behind the roof wall. The 2 hunters stopped just 10 feet away. We know she's here, one of them said. We saw the registry. Some human married her. Now she's worth more. Dead or alive? The second one asked. Alive, preferably. But we're allowed to defend ourselves if the human resists. Jared didn't wait. He fired once, just a warning shot. The energy bolt hit the ground near, them sending sand flying. "Next one won't miss," Jared shouted. The hunters spun, drawing weapons, but Jared was already moving. He rolled across the roof, took aim again, and fired. The first hunter dropped. The second ran. Jared climbed down, chest pounding. Sela stood in the middle of the room, shielding the baby with her body. "It's over," Jared said. "For now," she replied. They both knew it was just the beginning. That night, Jared reinforced every window. Sela whispered to her child, "Sleep, little one. You have a father now. And he's not afraid." Outside, the world was still cruel. But inside that broken shelter, a human and a hunted alien woman were building something stronger than fear. A family. The desert winds had stopped. The nights were colder now, but for once there were no knocks at the door. No patrols, no bounty hunters, just silence. Jared sat by the heater, working quietly with a small piece of broken metal. Across the room, Sela fed her baby, humming a slow song that didn't sound like any human melody. It was soft, sad, and beautiful. He had grown used to her presence. Her voice no longer startled him. Her footsteps were part of the rhythm of the place now, but something still didn't sit right. She avoided mirrors. She flinched at loud noises. Sometimes in her sleep she whispered names, ones Jared didn't recognize, and every time he asked about her past, she changed the subject. That night, after the baby had fallen asleep, he finally asked, "Who were you before all this, Sela?" She didn't look up. "You don't have to tell me everything," he added, "just, I want to understand." She stayed quiet for a long time. Then finally she spoke. "I was married once before," she began, her eyes fixed on the fire. "Not by choice." Jared listened silently. "I was sold to a high-born Tauran lord when I was 17. He was older, cruel. He liked control, liked silence. If I spoke without permission, I was punished." Her voice remained calm, but Jared could see her fingers tighten around the blanket. "I wasn't allowed to walk outside without chains. Not allowed to speak to other women. When I became pregnant, he grew worse. He thought I would steal the child and run." She swallowed hard. "One night he beat me until I bled. I nearly lost the baby." Jared's hands curled into fists. "I escaped during the red dusk. The sky turned so dark that shadows can disappear. I took one thing with me. His ring. Proof of my marriage. That badge you used," Jared realized. "It wasn't from your kind husband. It was from him?" She nodded. "I never meant to lie. I didn't think you'd help me otherwise." Jared leaned back, stunned. "You still married him, that makes you nobility." "Once," she said. "Now I'm nothing." Jared stood up and paced. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "Because I was afraid," she whispered. "I thought if you knew who I really was, you'd send me away." He stopped. "Sela, I married you to protect you, not because of your past, not because of your blood." She looked at him then, truly looked. "And if they find out who I am?" she asked. "That I'm not just a widow, but the runaway wife of a noble who died under strange conditions." Jared froze. "Wait, died how?" Sela stood, her body trembling. "I never touched him. I swear. But the night I escaped, he was found dead, poisoned. His family blamed me. They called it betrayal. Murder." Jared stared at her in disbelief. "Did you do it?" he asked softly. "No," she said, tears forming in her eyes. "But that doesn't matter. To them, I'm guilty. That's why they hunt me." She sank to the floor. "My baby is seen as cursed, tainted, heirs of a traitor. That's why I begged you. I had nothing left. No name, no land, only this child. And fear." Jared knelt beside her. "You should have told me." I wanted to, she said. But every time I tried, I saw the same look in your eyes. The one I saw in his, right before. He raised his hand. Jared didn't move. Then slowly he reached out and gently placed his hand on hers. I'm not him, she cried then, quiet tears that had been waiting far too long. The next morning, Jared checked the comm screen. A new alert had appeared. Wanted, Tauren fugitive noble. High risk. Suspected of poisoning Lord Cars. Traveling with a human male. Reward, 2,000 credits. Her picture was there, and beside it, a fuzzy image of him. They had been marked. Sela stood behind him, reading over his shoulder. Her face went pale. They know, she whispered. Jared turned to her, voice steady. Then we run. Snow was rare on the desert moon. But that night, as Jared and Sela fled into the high mountains, white flakes fell from the dark sky like silent stars. Jared's hands were numb. The child was wrapped in all the warmth they had left. Sela followed closely behind, her legs weak, her breath short, but she never let go of her baby. They had left the shelter hours ago, just after seeing the bounty alert. Their faces, Sela's, and Jared's, were now known across colonies. The system no longer cared about marriage papers. It only wanted blood. They found an old mining cave hidden behind frozen rocks. Inside it was cold, but quiet. Safe. For now. Jared lit a small fire and helped Sela sit down. Her lips were blue, and her fingers shook, but she held the baby like he was made of gold. Jared looked at her and whispered, "We can't keep running forever." Sela nodded. "Then we stop here, together." He stared at the fire for a moment, then stood. From his coat, he pulled out a small strip of cloth, torn from the same blanket they had first wrapped around her child. "I never had a ring," he said. "But this was with you since the beginning, when I found you in the dust." Sela looked at the cloth, eyes wide. Jared knelt in the snow, one knee down, his voice low and steady. Not for protection, not for law, not for shelter. He looked into her eyes. "I marry you, because I want to." Sela gasped, tears filling her eyes. Slowly, she knelt beside him. Her voice broke as she replied, "Then I accept, and I will be yours, as you have already been mine." The wind howled outside, but the cave was warm now. The fire flickered as Jared tied the cloth around her wrist. She did the same to him. It was not a human wedding, not Tauren either. It was something new, something made between two lost people, far from everything they knew. And the baby slept through it all, safe and warm between them. By morning, the snow had covered all tracks. The mountains were quiet, but trouble had not vanished. In the distance, metal footsteps echoed. Patrol units, 3 of them, moving slow, scanning the land. "They found us," Jared whispered. Sela grabbed her baby and backed deeper into the cave. "I'll lead them away," Jared said, grabbing his blaster. "No," she cried. "They'll kill you. If I don't go, they'll kill you both." He stepped closer. "You're not just someone I saved anymore. You're my wife. My family." He kissed her forehead and left before she could speak. Jared moved, fast, leaving marks in the snow on purpose, leading the soldiers down the opposite ridge. It worked. The scanners picked him up. "There," one of them shouted. They chased him through the trees, firing stun blasts. Jared ducked, rolled, fired back just enough to slow them. But he was outnumbered. A shot hit him in the side. He cried out, fell into the snow. One soldier marched toward him, raising his weapon. "Freeze, human. Where's the Tauren woman?" Jared coughed, blood on his lips. "Gone," he said with a smile. "You're too late." The guard snarled. But before he could fire, a roar shook the air. The cave entrance exploded with white-blue light. A creature burst from the snow, a wild ridge beast woken by the noise and fire. It struck one guard with its massive horn, sending him flying. In the confusion, Sela ran down the hill, eyes burning. She fired Jared's backup weapon, hitting the second guard in the chest. The third ran. Sela dropped to her knees beside Jared. "You came back," he whispered. She pressed her forehead to his. "I told you. I am yours now. I will not run without you." Together, they limped back toward the cave. The creature had vanished. The snow covered all blood. No more patrols came. Weeks passed. They built a life inside that cave. Simple. Quiet. Safe. Jared healed slowly. Sela found old roots and herbs to make food and medicine. One night, as the stars shone through the cracks, above, Sela looked at Jared and said, "You gave me more than a name. You gave me freedom." He smiled. "And you gave me something I never had." "What?" "A reason to stay. In a galaxy that called her cursed. In a world that called him foolish, they had chosen each other, not out of law, not out of fear, but out of love.